from this weekend, and former President Thabo Mbeki paying tribute to the late Tito Mboweni, describing him as one of the architects of a new South Africa who helped shape the country's policies. And Mboweni passed away on Saturday night here in Johannesburg following a short illness. In a statement, the former president credited his former Reserve Bank governor for the many roles he played in the ANC, in government, in labor and in other capacities. Mboweni served in Mbeki's administration as the first black central bank governor and returned as finance minister between 2018 and 2021 under President Cyril Ramaphosa. And for this, Mbeki praised him, saying he had made a personal sacrifice during a period of instability. The former president also says Mboweni's legacy in maintaining fiscal discipline endures to this day. Let's reflect further on his life and times, and Phumla Williams joins us. She's a former DG at GCIS. Phumla, good morning. Thank you very much for stopping your business of the day just to share with us your reflections. And I had kind of like a chuckle this weekend when I saw your post about dedicating one of the meals, it might have been your Sunday lunch actually, to the former finance minister and governor with a picture of the infamous now Pilchards as well. Just talk to us about how a lot of people are remembering him. Well, actually, let's just talk about how you are remembering him this morning.
Thank you very much, Iman. Good morning to the viewers and good morning to yourselves. And thanks for having me. Maybe let me start by also using this opportunity to express my condolences to the Mboweni family. I think the passing of Tito is a loss, not only to the Mboweni family, but to all of us as South Africans. And coming to the cooking of yesterday's meal, I want to also use this opportunity to confirm to the viewers that indeed I did cook my pilchards, and that happens to be one of my favorite meals in my house. The only difference is that I think I had to use my variation of my recipe. It was not Tito's. It was not Tito's variation, but I did prepare my lunch, my rice with mashed potatoes and pilchard, and which is a meal that we love in my house. So yes, I can confirm we did. I just didn't post it. I was not brave enough like Tito.
Well, I mean, as you say, you prevented a baptism by red wine of the Pilchards, and a deep marination or an assault, I should say, of garlic, which is what he was really famous for as well. But that was also used as an opportunity, I guess, to still be out there, and people would talk to him about his decisions and his point of view when it came to matters relating to our economy, and with all people who played a role in public service. There are mixed reviews about what their legacy might be, but I'd like, from your perspective, how you're remembering him, especially as somebody who worked in government, who was managing a lot of the messaging as well from government on the years in which, were difficult years as well in terms of South Africa's economy.
Yes, thank you, Iman. But yeah, on a serious note, really, there's quite a lot that I will always remember about Tito. I think Tito was the Minister of Finance when I was the acting cabinet spokesperson around 2018, 2021. One of the things that was striking for me is his humility. Iman, I never had any qualms in addressing Tito, even though he was a minister, and I would go to Tito and say, Broer, what you said there in cabinet, I didn't understand. And I would say, please talk to me as a communicator, not as an economist. And she would just have a chuckle and laugh about it. And I said, no, honestly, I think what you were saying there in cabinet was above me, and I still have to find a way of articulating it in a cabinet statement. Tito never had problems in finding time, either before, during the break, or after cabinet. You would talk to me and say, this is what I meant. This is how you can communicate. And I really appreciated that quite extensively. Iman, when cabinet went on virtual platform, I think during the COVID, Tito out of the blue sent me his cell phone number, and he was saying, in case you need my economic 101, here is my cell number. You can call me if you get stuck. And those are some of the things that you always remember, that Tito was so willing to assist and engage. In fact, if a matter is very complex, because I would say, remember, Minister, I'm not talking to the economist, I'm talking to ordinary people. Then you will explain it, then you will say, okay, fine, let me get my office to write something for you. And then you will tell me whether it's too complex or not. But I found that kind of interaction with Tito so engaging and so easy for me to really understand some of their submissions from cabinet.
Yeah, that really is really an incredible side as well of just having that sense of empathy and humanity that you're sharing with us. We, of course, can't forget the infamous now aloe ferox plant. I think that's slightly just before your role as an acting cabinet spokesperson, but or maybe it does, I'm not sure if it encompasses that time, but just the behind-the-scenes stuff of how, because he was known for also having that sense of humor in the midst of things that were quite serious. Just talk to us about the levels of preparation or the diligence that you would have seen even behind the scenes in ensuring that when he did meet the public, that he represented his colleagues in the finance ministry and all of the other stakeholders and acquitted himself well against all of those relationships that he has to manage and the leadership role that he played.
You know, I was listening this morning to the former DG of Treasury. You know, what he was saying, it's so true. Because when Tito was in cabinet, she would almost pull out the diplomacy and call it as it is. She would engage with the colleagues. She would speak for the department. She would be frank whether people were unhappy, but she used to call it for whatever it is. But I had found that kind of engagement with all his submission. She was almost at one in defending the position that has been taken by the National Treasury that was taken to cabinet for approval. And I think she would stick to it. And even when he communicates, because when we finish, sometimes I would say, Minister, you know what? I think it would be better that you articulate it yourself. And you would say, I'm more than happy to come and do the briefing and articulate it. So she was so engaging. She was more willing to do media briefing. She was more willing to communicate with us. And she was more willing to get his office to help us to understand what they are trying to do.
You shared, you know, several really interesting anecdotes, Phumla, about him behind the scenes and the level of availability that he had, the willingness to engage. As we conclude our interview, and you started off in the beginning by sharing, you know, your condolences with the family. What is another message you'd like to share with his family and his loved ones?
You know, I want to say a big thank you to the family of Mboweni. Tito was an asset not only to them, but he was an asset to South Africans as a whole. And I think one of the things that a lot of South Africans will come to appreciate, she was an ambassador not only of Pilchard, but he was an ambassador of Magoebaskloof.
Oh,
I've
yes.
never been to Limpopo, but I've always, you know, she spoke so fondly. Sometimes she shows the areas where you can have a meal. You almost like saying, you know what, that's one place I must try and visit. I think she sought to promote the country, not only to himself, but to all South Africans and to the continent, because Tito had a wide footprint on social media. When he was promoting Magoebaskloof, I wouldn't be surprised tourism also started thriving in that particular part of South Africa. So it is really a loss for us as South Africans, and it is a loss for our tourism in Limpopo. I think he was doing a wonderful job, but also a contribution to young people that probably never benefited, but a lot of tributes that are coming out right now. I think it's a story that will still be told to a number of young economists that are coming out in our universities.
Phumla Williams, thank you very much for those reflections on the life and times of the now fallen Duke of Magoebaskloof, as he was also fondly known, an ambassador for for where he grew up, and as well as an ambassador we called him, I think he was a wannabe gastronome almost. But there was a lot of fun and chatter that he generated through his post, but as Phumla's also sharing with us the serious side around the diligence and the humility that he displayed when he carried out his work in office as well.